Alrighty, we are live. Welcome back, everybody, to the Women's International Music Network. I am your host, Mickey Angeline, and here we have our live podcast series called Live Front and Center. And with great honor, I welcome my guest into the studio because not only is she a homegirl, because we both are here in Northern California, but she's also Filipino. And this is important because I'm Filipino and it is Filipino American History Month. So without further ado, I give you DJ Lady Char.
Wow.
You like that?
Thank you for that.
Absolutely.
What's up, y'all?
What's up? What's up? So here we are. Obviously doing it. I just love modern technology because you're probably a 20-minute drive, but
Right?
it is COVID still. We're trying to be safe still. Oh my gosh. Okay. So before we get into like all the nitty gritty, because we're going to cover, what got you into being a DJ, what inspired you to make this to do for a living and how you've maintained yourself through this whole COVID thing, the cool organization you started, the workshops with kids and teaching them about DJ. We're going to get into all that. But before we do, let's talk about, being Filipino.
All right.
I really want to touch on that because, we were talking off camera before we came on about the lack of representation that we have grown up with. At least for me, because I'm 52. I think, didn't you just have a birthday?
I'll be 40 next month. It's coming.
There it is. There it is. See that? You got to be down with Brown. We just never look our age. So, we've been around long enough to know growing up with music, with film, with TV, with ads that we would see on TV, ads we would see in newspapers. There was very little, if any, Filipino representation, right?
Right.
You feel that?
I do feel it. And even if we were, in something, we were always represented as a different race or, something like that. So.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think, so I follow Love for an Asian Guy on Facebook, and he shared a really cool video about that, about how through the years, people who are Filipino, they get hired, but they're hired to play like a Puerto Rican, they're hired to play, a different Asian, like, Chinese or Japanese. In fact, I did not know because I don't really watch High School Musical. I didn't grow up with, I'm too old. But apparently one of the young girls in that, she plays a Puerto Rican character, but she's actually Filipino. I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. That blew my mind. I was like, what? And then, of course, the Haley girl from, I knew this, though, the Haley girl from Pitch Perfect, she's Filipino, but she doesn't play a Filipino. I was like, what's up with that?
It's kind of weird how they do that, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Like, that's up.
And then, so, okay, you are from Northern California like I am. You had mentioned being born in the Santa Rosa area, and you've lived in the Bay. I grew up actually in the Fairfield area, which is like right in between Sacramento and San Francisco, because right now we're in the Sacramento area. But when I grew up, a lot of my upbringing with my family on the Filipino side, it was a lot of Bay Area hangout, Bay Area music stations. I think, because I still listen to 102.9 because it's still around. It was they call it the soul of the Bay now, but it was like 102.9. What was the catchphrase? There was a different catchphrase on it, but anytime I sail into the Bay, that's my station. Do you have any go-tos when you're driving around the Bay?
I usually listen to like KMEL, Wild 94.9.
Yes, they're still around. It's so incredible, right?
Definitely.
So then give us, the listeners, what inspired you to want to become a DJ as a career?
I just grew up loving music and around a family who surrounded themselves around music as well. I had two uncles that were b-boys. So I was around the breakdancing scene as a little kid, just watching my uncles, doing moves on the cardboard and things like that. So I really, really fell in love with hip hop culture because of my uncles. And just from then on there, I just kept, keeping up with the current music. And not only do I love hip hop, I love every type of music. So I would always be that kid that was like running the tunes in the car, or if we had a party, like I would be the DJ. And it kind of just graduated into, I started going to raves, for instance, when I was a teenager. I really, really got into EDM music as well. And when I did that, I would go and sit in front of the DJ and just watch their hands. And at that time, there, DJs were playing off of turntables, and they were
Vinyl.
using, yep, they were using records and vinyl and whatnot. And that's the equipment that I learned on. So I grew up, watching breakdancers and the hip hop scene. I went to a bunch of raves, and I really learned the rave culture and the EDM culture as well. And it just tied into, me wanting to do it myself. So just made it happen.
And then about when did you decide and it became the reality that it was now your business? Like, how long have you been doing it professionally?
So I've been doing it professionally for about 8 years now. At the time when I was working selling home warranties at First American. All right. I was
we all have that main gig while we're building our dream.
Phone. Yep. I was sitting on the phone selling home warranties. And I was also kind of like DJing on the side at some little bars in Santa Rosa. And what I noticed was I started catching like a really good following in Santa Rosa. And all of a sudden, a bunch of promoters from town and in the clubs started calling me. And I was like, yo, like, I could really make a business out of this. And it took me about 6 months to a year to make the full transition. But slowly and slowly, I just started booking more gigs in town. Eventually, I was playing at every single spot in Santa Rosa. And I had, one night a week. And, I was like, man, this is a career. So not only was I selling home warranties during the day, but I was DJing at night. And then finally I made the decision to just, completely stop doing the corporate world and put my faith all into my, into DJing. And here I am 8 years later.
And it's paid
in
off.
Sacramento.
That's so amazing. And you've even traveled, because you've traveled up and down the coast, even as far down as San Diego, or Long Beach, and you've also done like some gay pride events, correct?
Absolutely, yes.
So how different? Yeah. So how different is that vibe when you're doing a specific, especially gay pride events, really? Because, and you can't beat San Francisco. Like, I haven't been to any on the East Coast, so I can't. I'm sure.
Yeah, me either.
Right, they're rocking. But as far as the coast goes, like I've been to San Diego's, I've been to LA's, I've been to Sacramento's, I've even been to Reno's. But man, San Francisco is lit. Like, it's every time. It's so cray. So what's it like for you? What was it like for you? Like the first one you ever did? Were you scared? Were you
nervous? I'm always nervous every time, even though I'm still deep in the game. Like, I get the jitters every time I have a big gig. But my first time playing Pride, SF Pride was it 2015 maybe. I was invited to play on the women's stage, and it was like the energy was insane. And I'm the kind of person who gets like lost in the music and in the crowd. It was just the most euphoric, like amazing experience I've ever had at that point in my DJ career. Like, the San Francisco crowd was amazing.
I love the vibe every time, so many prides, and it's like the love you feel and the camaraderie, and everyone's so happy to be there and see you. And it doesn't matter where you came from, because people come from all over the world to the San Francisco. Yep. Of all the ones on the West Coast, that's the one that's lit up by people from not just other parts of the state, but other parts of the world. It's insane. So, getting into that, you talk about getting lost in the music and the vibe, because there's an art to it. I mean, you grew up when it was turntables and vinyl, which is a totally different finding that beat. I don't even know what it's like now for all of you who maintain computers and downloads. Like, that's so foreign to me when it comes to the music. But there's an art and a gift to it, because you're figuring out, it's almost like playing chess. I would think you're figuring out, you got probably like a basic layout of the songs you're going to play, but you got to figure out when to vibe it in. And aren't you feeding off of the audience participation as well?
Definitely. So being a DJ, you get really, really good at reading body language, and you almost have to prejudge people, like, before you meet them or talk to them, because you're just looking at them and trying to figure out what music they want to hear, so you judge them by your looks almost, as they're first walking in, and then you're watching their body movements. Are they bobbing their head? Are they tapping their foot? Are they dancing? Are they walking out the door? Are they on their phone? If everybody's on their phone, I know that they're not liking what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So you read the body language, you read the actions of what they're doing, and then you play accordingly, you know?
Oh, that was so, everything you just laid out, those little details are so important. That
Yeah.
really matters, especially as a DJ. So then over the years, I'm sure you have your go-to. How about this will be like a two-parter. So share with us your go-to equipment now and why. And then if you have one, like a story from back when you first started, how you figured out what not to use.
Okay. Well, originally I learned on turntables because I learned, about 20 years ago. So I was playing on vinyl. I currently use Pioneer DJ equipment, a DJ controller, which they now have digitally combined, a mixer and turntables all into one. And that instead of using records, you're now using your computer to access all of your music along with it as well. So it was actually a really hard transition for me because I'm really, really old school. And when all the computer digital stuff came out, I was like, I don't know how to use any of this. So it was a very humbling experience because I really thought I knew what I was doing, at that time, and having to get reacclimated with all the new equipment and stuff. Again, it was really humbling, but once you figure it out, you're like, man, this is so convenient now.
Like, why didn't I even get that before?
Right. They're definitely making it a lot easier for DJs to get around, but also just for the normal person to DJ. One turntable alone back in the day was like $750 to $800. So to even practice back in the day, you had to really save a lot of money.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, one turntable is about $800.
Oh my gosh.
Nowadays, you could buy a DJ controller for $250 and you got a party in your backpack. So DJing is a lot more accessible to the normal, person. Children can do it in their room and just as a hobby now, and it's a lot easier to get their hands on equipment.
That makes about sense because music-wise, just those that create music, that's been the same thing. It went from really trying to pitch and getting a label to help you with it to everyone's just able to make their own music now.
Yeah.
So that sounds about right, I guess, with DJs. And so what you said the transition was hard, but it sounds like you got through with it because you listed off. I mean, I don't know the work, but I know the company. Pioneer is a very, very good company. So then what was the hardest or funniest story or where you learned something you would probably either never use again or you just didn't know what you were doing with it?
Okay, let me think. Okay, so a lot of situations that come up when you play at different clubs is that you hook into their equipment and, most of the mixers, they generally do the same, things. They have the same functions, but their buttons are in different places and, the placement's different. So I was playing one show for San Francisco Pride one time, and there was this ancient mixer. It must have been from like the 70s. I don't even know. And
Stop
to be
it.
completely honest, I didn't know how to use it. I worked it out though, and I kind of just played music from my laptop and worked it out. I didn't even use their equipment at all. I literally just hooked in my laptop and worked it out. Luckily, the crowd didn't figure out what I was doing. They enjoyed the time still, but I was stressed out the entire time. And now I carry around a small DJ controller with me every gig that I go to in case there comes a situation like that where it's just, their equipment's not compatible with mine, or if I just don't know how to use it, So
see, that was the trade-off because back in the day, it was crates and crates and crates of vinyl. Think about that. Anyone who's watching that's not from that era, that is only from computers and the internet, you're talking the art of being a DJ, and the only music you could play was the music you brought with you. So it's like all of the, I mean, we're talking, you're unloading a lot with your equipment, with your turntables, and now you're trading it in smaller, more compact, more versatile with the music you can grab. However, like you said, unless you're a resident DJ somewhere, which I'm sure you are now because you built up that rapport, but each time you went, it was like Russian roulette when it came to, will my equipment be compatible? Can I plug in and will this play? What are their speakers like? Because I'm guessing you're using house speakers, or do you bring your own?
It depends on the gig and what the venue has to offer. Some have all the equipment there set up. Some I bring up a whole setup myself. So it really just depends.
And that's where it was trial and error for you, right?
Yep. I've learned everything by making mistakes. Like, oh, won't do that again, just because, it didn't work out that time. So
I'll tell you, failure is our greatest teacher every time. It only sucks if you didn't learn from it, right? You got to get the scrapes and the bumps and the bruises to figure it out on the way. So then, now going into, let's go into what it's been like for you since COVID, and then we'll definitely end it with your awesome workshops that you do with the youth, with the DJ workshops, because that's very important to talk on. But man, everything shut down. I mean, you and I were up here in Northern California. For you were traveling up and down the whole coast. But when everything shut down, that first couple of months, what did you do?
Oh, man, that was so hard to adjust. I was going from 2 gigs a day to all of a sudden nothing, and then not being able to leave our house. So being the go type of person that I was, I went into a really deep depression, to be honest. It was really hard for me to get through, just because I was so used to, being around people and working and feeding off of the energy. All of those aspects really played a big factor in my mental health. So I kind of just hermit moded for a while, because I was working out my emotions and how did this happen to me kind of thing, and trying to work out my finances, to be honest. I lost 6 months worth of gigs in a matter of a week. I was just getting messages like, oh, my wedding's not happening due to COVID. This event's not happening. I scored my biggest job with being the DJ for Sac Republic.
That's right. Our soccer team, because we went official.
Yeah. Yes.
Last year, right? We became official.
Major League soccer team.
Yep.
They asked me to DJ for them for the year. I played 2 games for them, and then COVID hit. So that was just heartbreaking for me. Yeah. I was basically coming up on the best part of my career, and it really just stopped. So it's been a huge adjustment.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine losing 6 months worth of work, especially the weddings. I can see that, because a lot of couples have had to postpone those, reschedule those.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then you're right, because when you're vibing, because for me, that was the thing too. I mean, I'm very much a people person. And when you're so used to being in a room full and feeling that energy, and then you're just without your choice, it's like, you're not doing this, and we don't know for how long. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
You're like, what? Now, it sounds like, though, because you've been doing it for so long, have you kept in touch with people just to see where things are at, and as far as marketing yourself and going, hey, I'm still available when things pop up, let me know. Were you engaging in any of that?
Absolutely. I mean, networking always plays a factor in DJing and any entertainment business. I still keep in contact as much as I can with everybody that I work with. I mean, a lot of the times they're my friends, so I just check up on the homie, and, we talk about, what's to come, and hopefully we can work together again one day. And we're all just kind of waiting till we open back up again.
Waiting. Homie hookups, to tell you what, because I know, and we'll go into where you've been able to work, because I went and saw you. My daughter and I popped in a couple of weeks back, because those of you listening, and you're in the Sacramento area, you play live on Friday afternoons at Solomon's Deli downtown. But more importantly, they have inside an official, legitimate voting ballot box. And I say this because we're dealing with fake ballot boxes.
Yep.
We're dealing with ballot boxes being set on fire. I don't know if you heard that.
Oh no.
Yes. So it's imperative to know where the official ones are and where they're safe. Solomon's Delicatessen is LGBTQ friendly, BLM ally friendly, and you can go in. They've got great food, everything from even your vegan and vegetarian options, because I'm vegan, and you can enjoy patio service. And it's DJ Lady Char. You were killing it that day. Can I just tell you, I didn't want to leave, but my daughter was like, okay, I'm ready to go, because she's just she needed to get back and finish what she was doing here at the apartment. I'm like, okay, I'm like 5 more minutes, because she's got this groove going, and I just can't get out of my chair right now. I want to get out and dance, but it's like, oh my God, you did So
Oh,
good because
thank you.
I love how you pop in and out of current and then the old school R&B and you'll bring it back because that's I know because you'll get the crowd go, hey, right when they hit that song, you hit that pocket, that's what I'm know what you're talking about, right?
I know.
But yeah, I mean, it was down south. I can't remember. It was not Balboa Park. It was some park somewhere in the LA area. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was Trump supporters because the demographic of the city that happened was largely Hispanic and it was predominantly a liberal city. So somebody lit something on fire and put it in the official ballot box and set all those ballots on fire.
Come on.
It's desperate times right now. So that's why I was bringing up for anyone who's still, because we've got 7-8 more days. If you're someone who wants to drop off your ballot somewhere and you're not wanting to be in long lines, because I mean, they've already opened it up Solomon's Delicatessen. We're giving them a shout out because you play there.
Solomon's.
Do you play there just Fridays or are you there on the weekend too?
I'm gonna start playing there on the weekends. They're kind of just bouncing me back and forth now.
Okay.
So if you want to keep track, you could follow me, on the Facebook page, DJ Lady Char, and I post everywhere that I'll be playing. Yeah.
She does. And that's your website everyone can go to. So now that we're talking about this, I'm going to share the screen so people can see. Let's give us a little insight because you have this incredible workshop, Love Beat DJ Workshops, that is designed for teaching youth about it, right? Give us a little insight on when you started it and what inspired it.
So I have a daughter. She's now almost 16. But back in the day when I started the workshop, she was about in 4th grade. Her teacher caught wind that I'm, a DJ, and she asked me to come play music for the kids. And basically, the kids really, really enjoyed what I did with them for that day. And I went home and I thought about it, and I was like, yo, like I love kids. I love music. Like I could really teach, these kids how to DJ. I taught Ava how to DJ. Ava's my daughter. She learned really, really quickly. And because of that, I kind of just came up with the idea to pitch it to her school. And from then on, I pitched it to the principal. And every year since then, I've been doing a after school program at Caleb Greenwood with my Love Beat DJ workshops. And I have about 20 to 30 kids in each class. And I do those classes 2 days a week.
That is incredible. What? I just shared your screen for everyone to see. Go to the website there. You can also find all her socials. That is so amazing because I love it when artists, people in the industry will give back to the community in that sense and teaching what you've learned, right? And then fostering that dream within somebody younger. On how to do it because you and I are probably the ones where we grew up. We wish we had that growing up, right? So we want to fill in that hole where we didn't have it. So what are some of the things you teach with this workshop? If you want to give like maybe a couple of little pointers of what it is the kids get to learn in your workshop.
So I teach them basically how to DJ off of different types of DJ equipment, mainly off of DJ controllers, which is, what is most accessible to the kids right now. Not only am I teaching them how to DJ, but while we're teaching them DJ skills, they're also learning a bunch of life skills that they would need, like how to take initiative. They're learning social skills. DJs talk on the mic a lot. So they're learning public speaking, to their peers. They're learning how to make beats. They're learning how to use a bunch of different electronical, devices depending on what we're doing that day. I teach them how to make songs on GarageBand. We put together performances so that they can perform in front of their, peers at lunch. So they're really getting a really good, well-rounded idea of what a DJ does on a daily basis just by hanging out with me for an hour a week,
Oh my God, that's a lot. I didn't even realize you touched on something so vital, and that's public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right. As a DJ, you've got your mic. You might not always speak, but if you do, it's got to go within the flow of what you're doing. And I think it's so important that young people, especially growing up and, in school, to learn how to find your voice, have that confidence and speak your mind and be comfortable when you're doing it. Look at you. Oh my God. And they get to learn how to make their own songs too. And then they get to do performances. Okay, that's amazing. So like you have these little, like you put the little flyers out and everyone come on out. And do you teach the kids how to promote themselves too?
Absolutely. I've taught them how to do little Photoshop sessions so that they can make flyers. I'm teaching them like very well-rounded idea of what a DJ does. So not only can they take this information and become a DJ, but any type of artist, really.
Oh my gosh.
You
know what?
Just
okay.
Insert your.
I was gonna wait till we were off the air, but I really feel like you need to be in next year's Girls Rock Sacramento music camp, because I don't know if I told you, but I've been a volunteer with them they've been around, they're going to their 5th year, and it teaches young girls and those who identify as girls how to music education, empowerment through music education. And it's a whole week camp. So they learn different things, not just, being in a band and playing, but learning about, they make their own merch. They learn meditation. I teach self-defense. So, and we talked about Larissa Brisky's the founder, and we had talked about this last year. I'm like, we need to get in someone that does like DJ stuff, because a lot of the music that's out there isn't just live musician, instruments and getting a band, but they mix in things too. And she agreed. So now that I know, I'm like, it's got to be you, because you're from here and you already do it. And you could just have the one little class for them to learn how to do it, which of course promotes you and then gets it more going that way. I mean, if you're interested, I don't mean to put you
absolutely, let's go
live and everything, but I was just so inspired by how you touch young people. So, and are you still able to do it with COVID happening, or did that have to kind of go on the back burner?
It definitely has gone on the back burner a little bit. I do have certain students who have acquired their own DJ equipment and have it at home. And those that have, I'm still able to connect with them through Zoom and give them lessons. So I've definitely been connecting with students that way. I'm not speaking to as many students as I was, obviously, in person. But for those who have been kept in touch with me and are able to have the equipment at home, I've definitely had made time for them. And I'm also doing workshops with the Cypher Hip Hop Workshops crew here in Sacramento. They do kid workshops teaching all of the elements of hip hop. So dance, DJ, art, and emceeing. So I'm able to share my craft through them as well.
You are doing it all. I thought I loved and respected you before, man. Mad super love for you now, because I didn't even realize. Oh, I love it. I
appreciate it.
Most of the time when I do my interviews, I will, I do my basis, but I like to learn organically about the person and with the conversation, because it's just how I roll. And man, I just didn't even know you just did all of that. Like, look at you. So then, okay, as we wrap this up and end this out, where can people see you now that things are starting to open up? There's, patio dining. There's, there's I know an event going on this Saturday. The I don't know if you're part of it. The Franken Jam that's happening at Harlow's, but
a lot of my friends are performing there.
So, okay, yeah. So, in a way to kind of support and bring back local businesses and music, where can people find you now until like the weather doesn't allow to see you do your thing?
I'm currently playing on the weekends at Solomon's Delicatessen in Sacramento, also at Badlands Sacramento on a weekly every weekend, either Friday or Saturday night. It's alternating, so you just have to check on that. And then I'll do some lives here and there on my Facebook or Twitch, which I post on my page when that happens. But yeah, those are basically the most consistent places that I'm playing at right now.
Perfect. And they're both downtown Sacramento. Badlands is KN20. I believe Solomon's is like the 700 block in K. So it's like 704, 702. Yeah. So, and when I found you, that the parking was so easy to find and get there. So, and like I said, it's safe. You're masking. It's outdoors. It's good. Are people inside at Badlands right now?
They're doing inside dining in Badlands.
Okay.
It's still socially distanced, so they have it, blocked off, so that everybody's separate from each other.
And Badlands is open too on both ends. Like they have the patio that's open, they have the back, so air comes flowing too, which is important to know. Yep, because you don't want to be an enclosed, no air flowing, no artificial air flowing. And Badlands is like tall. And so that's cool. And so I'm glad you're doing that, because maybe I'll come out and
Yeah.
check you out that too. Well, oh my
Please
gosh.
do.
DJ Lady Char, Filipino awesome lady flipping on this. Thank you so much for being on the Women's International Music Network.
Thank you for
And
having me.
so good to see a fellow Filipino, fellow family doing the thing, and just inspiring and teaching young kids to you rock. So with that, I'm your host, Mickey Angeline. Thank you all for joining us. If you missed any part of this live interview, not to worry, it will save on our women YouTube and the Facebook. You can go back and check the beginning. I highly encourage it. There's her website right there, djladychar.com. And with that, we wish you a good rest of your day.
Thank you.